Hey, what's good, y'all? Officer, precinct officer, Thawahgabar. Many of y'all know me as that. Some of y'all on Black Authentic Truth, y'all just know me as Thawahgabar. But I'm here, live in effect, a little late, but I'm still here. And I got a roundup today, a lineup today of different stories I'm gonna go into, hit some hard points. I'm gonna dip in, and then we're gonna be up out of here on this Sunday. Just give me about 2-3 minutes, and then we're gonna get it rocking and rolling. Hey, what's good, y'all? This is Thawahgabar for Black Authentic Truth. Thank you for rocking with me. Thank y'all for supporting me. Another Sunday. It is a hot Sunday today in Southern California. It's been a heat wave for, I think, the last 2 weeks, maybe the last 3 weeks. It's been a heat wave. And this is probably the worst time for you to have a problem with your vehicle, which I done had problems with both of them in the heat. And I'm like I said before, I believe I said this on a live that I'm a DIY guy. So I would rather much, and I'm gonna go into a story about that, but I would rather fix something myself than to go to someone if I can do it. There's some things that you can't do. There's some things that, is just over my head, which, I can accept that. But if it's within my power and within my physical ability, I'm gonna knock it out. But I'm gonna go into a story about that video that was done taking a car to the dealership that there was nothing wrong with the car. So I'll get into that a little later. But yeah, so how everybody been doing? Are you rocking with me? You up in here? I see some people up in here. Shout out Black Authentic Truth. Shout out to you for rocking with me, for sliding with me, for riding with me, for just tapping in. I appreciate it. And as always, I always got something black and authentic to add to the conversation and all the topics that go on with us, especially current events. Current events has been popping off in the black community, especially with this voting thing. Excuse me, this voting thing. And I'm going to tap into that too, which I mean, it is the current conversation, but so we have to continually talk about it and bring out, points and perspectives that a lot of times we don't really think about. And there's a lot of smart black people, a lot of people in general that have opinions and perspectives on voting, on whether why black people should vote or why black people shouldn't vote. I'm against voting. I'm against voting to the point where you just look back at the track record and you just look at history. And if we're going to vote, we need to be getting something that we need to get something that's what's the word? Like, we need to get something that's tangible. If we're going to be voting and casting our votes, we got to see something actually done for our people. If that's not happening, which it has never happened, then what really is the point? Just our votes, just casting votes and not seeing anything as far as in comparison to other groups in America, what they get for voting. So a lot of black people is enraged, upset. It's like voting for your own for the opposite team. When you see these black people going back and forth, whether they believe they're on the Republican side or the Democratic side, it's just for people like me that's standing on the outside looking in. It's just another way that we have been brainwashed in America, and we have been, how can I say, programmed and locked in that programming to think that this is the only way, this is the only answer to fix problems that we have, particularly in our community. So yeah. So this first video I'm gonna get into, this is about, I don't know, I had never heard of this brother, but he is a brother, but he is a monster, in fact. And I'm gonna get to this story. Let me just pull this up real quick. Now, this is Ronald Watts, Sergeant Ronald Watts, who was a Chicago cop. Okay. Excuse me. So he's an ex-Chicago cop. Ronald Watts, he is connected to 200, more than 200 exoneration cases of black people being framed with drugs and guns. He was a law enforcement officer. This all came out, and it's still coming out. People are still coming out saying that they were framed by him. A lot of black people that he framed tried to fight, but with not having any money, no way to fight it as far as financially, they just took the plea bargains and they went to jail for some time. And we're going to cover some of these people. But more than 200 people, y'all, that this brother, this black man framed. He was literally running a kingpin organization under the table. He basically shut out all of the drug dealers that was selling drugs, and he was selling drugs, running a kingpin organization under the table, like the real training day, the real training day. That's what he was doing. Denzel Washington, that was just a movie, but this one, Ronald Watts, ex-Chicago cop, he was going to the poor neighborhoods where Black people are and framing them, putting drugs on them, taking money from people. I think it said about he was making a week about $50,000 a week. He basically took over the drug trade in the Black community, pushed all the drug dealers out, and he became the head honcho. This was a Black officer that was doing this to Black people, poor Black people that's just trying to make it. Okay, so I'm gonna bring up this brother. This is one of his victims, right? Now, this brother, excuse me, his name is Larry Lomax. He's 65 years old. So this brother was at his relative's house with his brother, and the police just gaffled him up, beat the hell out of him, knocked some of his teeth out, and he was arrested. They told him that he was arrested for selling drugs, and he didn't even have any drugs. So they told him to snitch and say that other people had drugs, and he didn't. So they hit him with a charge of possession of heroin. And so him and his brother went down, and his brother died of cancer while they was locked up. And so he's just been exonerated. So he's just one of them. Let me get this other one. Now, this brother right here, his name is Derek Mapp. He's 49 years old. So he said he was struggling to breathe because when he got taken to the jail, he was struggling to breathe. For the reason why is because police just ran up on him and started beating him and asking him questions that he had no answer for. And the officers beat him so much in the ribs that they collapsed his lung. They collapsed his brother's lung. This wasn't just Ronald Watts by itself. He had a team, like a gang within the Chicago Police Department, and he was the head commander. He was the leader. He was a sergeant. So he had a team of people, and charges were dropped on him and his team and the police officers that were involved in these crimes. Charges was dropped. They basically said they couldn't bring charges against him. And he's no longer an officer. He moved to Nevada, but now he lives in Arizona. But the people that they affected are still suffering from what happened. Now, this brother right here, let me get it. This brother was also framed. He did time in jail. When he got out, this is his sister holding a picture of him. But when he got out of jail, I think he was out about a year or two, starting his life over, and he was shot and killed. Many people think it was what had to do with this situation of him being exonerated and saying that he was framed. So many people believe it was Ronald Watts behind this. Once again, all the charges was dropped. Now, this sister right here, and I'm just going through them. This sister right here, she was framed coming from the store to her relative's house in Chicago, getting ready to move to Indiana to start a new life. And the police came in, and they basically took her to jail, framed her for selling drugs, even though she had receipts for where she had just been and she had just got to the apartment. Well, because of that, she lost her excuse me. Because of that, she lost her voucher. She lost her public assistant voucher to move. And so it kind of like messed up her life. And so that was the result of getting arrested. And this is on a day when she's about to go move and start a new life, a new beginning in a whole nother state. And the list just goes on and on, right? The list goes on and on. This brother was framed. He was locked up by Ronald Watts, framed for having drugs. When he took the plea bargain because he had no way to fight it. So when he's locked up, his relatives started dying, his grandmother, his uncles, his cousins, and he was not allowed to go to the funeral. So he was real upset about that because he did nothing wrong. Did nothing wrong. There's one more brother. This brother right here also framed. Went to go visit some relatives in Chicago. Soon as he stepped outside, they gaffled him up, said he was selling drugs, took him down to the precinct, went to go search his mother's house. Allegedly, they said they found a gun. So he went to jail on drug and gun charges. Everybody I'm showing you was later exonerated, meaning they were found not guilty. All charges were dropped. Their record clean. Okay. This is another sister. This sister right here was actually, her boyfriend was having problems with them, and she went and reported the misconduct to the place where you report police misconduct. Well, Ronald Watts took it out on her and framed her and her boyfriend, got him 4 years, and she did probation. Both her kids was going to college. They couldn't go to college anymore. They had to come back home and help out at home. But this is the path of destruction Ronald Watts created. Now, I wanted to make a point. You see all this damage this brother, this terrible brother done to his own people. And I thought that this story is it's perfect to make the point about law enforcement, which I always make. I always make this point about law enforcement. And let me just remove this. And the point is that law enforcement comes from a culture of extorting and hunting down, taking the lives, and hurting slaves. Law enforcement developed from the patty rollers. In the North, there was a time when they were turning the immigrants, the Irish, the people they couldn't control, they were allowing them to be police officers, like complete psychopaths that would result to mob violence in an instant. So the culture of law enforcement as it has evolved through the years is still the same. And when you look at Black people or brown people or Asian people, when it comes to the culture, I can actually say without a shadow of doubt, it's not about race. And I want y'all to hear me out. I don't want nobody to get upset when I say law enforcement, how they treat Black people or how they act with the uniform, it's not about race. I feel like something's in my throat. It's about the culture. It's like if you join a club or a biker club, there's a culture in that biker club. There's a culture in everything you join. So when you join these things, you take on that culture. Even though you're trying to be yourself and you're trying to be a good guy, eventually, as a law enforcement officer, you're going to take on the culture of how you treat Black people and how you look at it. So when a Black man puts on a uniform, yeah, he probably got good intentions. Maybe he wanted to be a police officer from the time he was a child. But that culture takes your soul, basically. It takes your soul. Now, look what this Black man was doing to Black people. Imagine all of the corruption that we don't hear about and we don't know. Imagine all of the gangs that we don't know about. Let me see. Let me check real quick. Y'all feel me? Imagine all of that. Imagine all of the gangs, all of the people. I'm sorry, all of the officers that get away with this type of activity. This is street thuggish, ruggish activity. And this brother perpetrated that activity on his own people. He looked at black people that were poor in the ghetto as easy targets, people that couldn't fight back, people that society will say, well, yeah, they sell drugs, they do crime. So it made it easy for him to target his own people. But that's the culture. That's it doesn't matter who you put in the uniform. This is going to be the end result. And unfortunately, this is a black person that was preying on other black people under the color of that uniform. So yeah, I'm gonna drop that video. I'm sorry, the story, and let me go to this video, which is kind of a cool video. I like it. It's kind of funny. I mean, it's serious, but I can find some humor in it. That's a better point to be made.
Father is sharing the terrifying moment someone broke into his home and attacked his children. And let's just say Dad made the suspect regret that decision.
Big time. Police say the suspect is in custody and will be charged. ABC 10's Roxana Elias has the story.
Bent around, ducked down, looked, and then just rushed through the door.
Bobby Tucker says a stranger who was screaming and growling came into his home and attacked two of his children around 5:30 p.m. Thursday.
He attacked my 14-year-old son from the back. He jumped on him, choking him out to the ground. And then he moved on to my 11-year-old. When I came out, he was standing about right here over the top of my son.
Tucker, who works as a security guard, says he was in the back of the house with his youngest son when he heard the commotion. He rushed out from his hallway and saw the man hitting his 11-year-old son.
I admit I blanked out for a while. I probably scared my kids too, because I just kept hitting the guy. And I could hear them saying, someone call 911.
Citrus Heights police responded within 5 minutes and took the man into custody.
He was out cold, unresponsive. The paramedics tried to get him to wake up and respond. He was just out.
Police aren't releasing the man's identity yet and can't say if he was on drugs or had mental health problems. The father of four.
Y'all see who he is? Excuse me. He said that this man came into his house and just started hitting on his children. He came in the living room and blacked out. He said he probably scared his children because he was going crazy on the dude. And when a paramedics came, they was trying to wake the dude up. He would not wake up. He was out cold. So this father, an intruder came into the house. And obviously, I'm going to just say this. Anybody that just decides to walk in your house and start taking off on your children, it's got to be something wrong with them. But this father did the right thing. Let me just clap it up for this brother. Clap it up for him. This father did what every father is supposed to do. That's what you're supposed to do, is protect your children, protect your family. And he effed around and found out, walked into the wrong house. This brother put him to sleep as he should have. Okay. Let me play a little more.
Says his door was unlocked at the time because his children had just taken the trash out. He later posted these photos of the man, one of him entering his home and the other with him being taken out on a stretcher.
Do y'all see that though? He came in one way and he left out another way. And that is what's going to happen. If you come into my home, it's a wrap. I'm just saying, I'm going to do the same thing this brother did. I'm probably going to black out. I come into the living room and there's a grown man putting hands on my son. I know I'm going to black out. I already know what it is. And you'll be leaving just like this man is leaving, on the stretcher. Or maybe you won't be leaving at all. But that is what we need in our homes. We need a father that is going to be there and, be ready at all times to protect his family. And so I applaud this brother for going right into action And you don't have to be somebody that is a fighter. I'm not a fighter. I'm not the type of person that looks for battles. You don't have to be that type of person. You just have to be somebody that is willing to do whatever as a man to protect your family, right? Mad love. Yeah, RJ, that's right. Mad love for that father. Mad respect for him. Went straight into action and sent him packing on a
He
stretcher.
definitely picked the wrong house to come into.
Tucker says he wants this to serve as a warning.
You hear that? He said he definitely picked the wrong house to come into. He picked the wrong house to come into. And he learned his lesson that day, right? Yeah, so let me I'm gonna switch it up real quick. Let me get this other video moving pretty fast here, y'all. Remove this. Yeah, that's just something. People is crazy nowadays. That is something that we gotta deal with.
Missing everything. Tire rotation, brake inspection. You do need brakes.
What I want. Is this what I want? Oh, this is what I want. My bad. That's what I want. So let me rewind this real quick. Now, this is a perfect car being taken to an auto mechanic, to a shop. And just look what happens. Many of y'all already know this. Before I get into the video, many of y'all already know this, that when you take your vehicle to shops and stuff, you have one problem, and then they come out and say, you got a million problems. You got a million things that need to get changed and fixed.
You guys are missing everything. Tire rotation, brake inspection. You do need brakes.
I wouldn't do that. I would wait another year or two. Given how much this car is being driven, it makes no noise. The brakes have full power. Are they worn down? Yeah, they're about half worn down. But the owner's going to get another, year or two out of this. No problem.
You need an alignment. Okay. You need to replace your filters. A whole bunch of things you guys need to do. Your air filter should be replaced once a year.
I just inspected this car. It does not need alignment. The air filter doesn't need to be replaced once a year, according to the maintenance schedule. Again, overselling.
Your spark plugs are due. Spark plugs basically is the brain of the vehicle. If something goes wrong, first thing we're going to check is your spark plug. A power steering flush. To steering, your steering, is probably going to get tighter because it needs to be flushed at that mileage right now.
They do not recommend flushing it. And as far as this other stuff, it might get tighter, the steering. That's a great one. I mean, that's just funny. It's like totally made up.
Yeah. So, like I said, that's the stuff that happens when you take your vehicle to a dealership or a stillership or a mechanic, and they just start coming out with all these things that's wrong with the vehicle. They took a perfectly fine vehicle, and the people quoted all type of stuff that was wrong with it when it just had an inspection by a certified mechanic. And this is the dilemma that we have when we have issues with things like cars, computers. There's certain things that people just say, you know what, I'm gonna take it to the shop. I don't know what's going on with it. And there's so many twists and turns and ways they can get money out of you that they take advantage of people that don't know any better. My suggestion, especially for like a woman or even a brother that doesn't know a lot about cars, because I didn't know a lot about how cars work. I did not in high school. I didn't go through the auto shop, so I didn't get a basic understanding of just basic knowledge of a car. I kind of learned in my adult years, just having problems and issues. But one of the things that you can get is one of those code readers. You get you a code reader, and let me see if I could pull one up. So I think most of y'all know what I'm talking about. It's a little device that you plug into your car right up under the steering wheel. You plug it in the car, you're having an issue, you could get some information and kind of have an idea what you're dealing with or what's going on before you take it to somebody like a shop, so you can already have an idea what's wrong with the car, so they don't tell you, oh, it's this and it's that, like some stuff that don't make sense. Like, okay, you have a you got an oil leak. You see that you have an oil leak in your engine. Check engine light comes on. You go in there. You read it. You read the codes. You see that the codes are talking about like, something has to do with the engine, a boost leak or air leak, okay, a vacuum leak. Okay. You go in there and they come out talking about you need new struts. They talking about problems that ain't even nowhere near the engine. You need new struts. You need rotors. You need this thing. And you went in there for one problem. I mean, you come out scratching your head like, damn, I want to get rid of this car. I think I done got had. But that's how it is, like how people take advantage of people. But there is ways to get around it. And I said that, especially if you're just somebody that's not that knowledgeable. I'll say most people are not that knowledgeable when it comes to cars, and particularly women. They prey on women, really, they do. You know what I'm saying? When it comes to you taking a car in, and I realized that once I learned about computers, because computers are similar to cars, right? Computers have all of these components that go into it to make it run. And you can upgrade or take out parts just like you can do with a car. You can upgrade it, make it faster, whatever you want to do. That's the same with computers too. But there is no way to tell if you are there is no device you can plug in and find out what's the real issue with your computer like it is with a car. You can get close to the problem and you'll be surprised, because there's been times when I done went to a mechanic and they're trying to tell me, like they read the codes and they're telling me, and I'm like, yeah, I already know that that's what's wrong with it. I already know that. Well, what else can you tell me that I don't already know? Like what information do you have for me that I didn't know? Because my little code reader told me all of that before I got here. So I'm not surprised. This is not a surprise. I've been knowing that. So yeah, just to give that idea, like, yeah, I know a little bit. I already came here with a little knowledge. You're not finna get over on me. And so you're just at the mercy of somebody that's honest. I'm not saying this, I'm not talking about this story to say that people that work on cars are dishonest. There are a lot of honest, hardworking people that work on vehicles, and they won't cheat you, and they won't lie, and they won't try to, still get more money out of you by telling you all of these extra problems. They'll fix what needs to be fixed. A car is going to always have issues. So my advice is just get fixed what needs to be fixed at that time, especially in these times. Like, everybody ain't got the money to be throwing out hundreds of dollars to people to, fix something, and then turn around, there's another problem and another problem and another problem, So that's my thoughts on that. That's my thoughts. And that's just to help somebody also, like get you one of those OBD2 scanners, a code reader off of Amazon or something. Make sure it's coded for your type of vehicle. Usually they have two different kinds. One is for more like European cars, and then one is for like American cars, and Japanese cars or whatever. But get one of those, and I think you should be safe. And you can just do a little bit yourself and get a little understanding yourself on what's going on before you take it to somebody and they basically rape your pockets. Okay. So let me move on. Now this video, I'm gonna put this up on the mid screen. Let me see. Let me take this down. Now let me see. I want to preface this by saying this is the pastor that this pastor, what's his name? His name is Keon Henderson. Now this pastor, I talked about this pastor before. he was breaking down why in the Bible it says a woman can't teach, and he was totally wrong. And I'm not going to go into that right now, but I will go on that if you want to hear that breakdown, or not just that, but this also. I will go in on that in my biblical class on Wednesdays, 7 p.m. Hollywood Israelites on YouTube. Now, this is crazy, okay? And this is not nothing new that you haven't heard before in the black church. But basically, their church has been affected by the storm that was in Texas. I think currently their church home is destroyed. It's too much damage, right? From the storm. They're currently having church in Joel Osteen's church, which I think is like one of them super mega churches. Y'all remember some years back, he closed his doors. It was a hurricane or something in Texas, and Joel Osteen closed his doors, wouldn't allow people that had no shelter to go into that mega church. So I think he's trying to get some cool points back by allowing this black church pastor to have his church in his mega church sanctuary. So I'm just bear with me because I want to get to the good parts. I don't have any timestamps, but I know kind of where it's at, and I'm going to play it.
Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you find yourself watching this message. Thank you so much for adjusting your schedule to spend this time with me today. I wanted to spend a moment to give you the state of our church and to let you know where we are after the unfortunate events of Hurricane Beryl that came at us unexpectedly. Started off as a hurricane somewhere in the deep waters, found its way to landfall, and we had no idea that we would be in its grip. You see, my wife and I were on our sabbatical month. We were on vacation, spending time with each other. It was just my birthday 2 days prior. All I could think about is the time I would have with my bride and the time we would be able to use to reconnect through the busy vicissitudes of life. Only to get a call that there was a storm that hit and things might not be okay. Now, you have to understand, I didn't believe it because you cannot imagine how many storms we've survived. We've gone through Harvey, Ike. None of the storms ever seemed to touch us. But did God have something else in mind? Well, this storm was not created for us. I would not be selfish to just have you pray for us alone. For when we got the news, 2 million people at the time of impact had no power, no food. Some had no air conditioning. They were in literal.
So I'm not going to bore y'all with what he's talking, but he's giving a breakdown and he's speaking very strong in what's the word? Eloquently to get this message out. Now let me just skip up to where it gets to what I want to speak on.
And we are in the process now of fighting to. And Shawnee, they're going to be fine. You know, insurance will take care of it. Let me tell you something. Anybody who tells you that doesn't know how the world works. The insurance job is to give you a depreciated value on the assets that you have. And we are in the process now of fighting to get all we can for the people of our community, of our church. The process is a hurry up and wait process. And
so he's saying the process is he's talking about the insurance. They're giving him a depreciated value on, the church, and they got to hurry up and wait. And saying that people that are telling him that just wait for the insurance to take care of things, he's saying you don't know how the world actually works. So I'm trying to find it, y'all. Just let me find it.
So in the meantime, as I sit and I face you on one of the premier stages in the world, I want to thank God that we're at the Lakewood Church in Houston, Texas. and they've opened their doors to us.
Okay, the Lakewood Church. That's Joel Osteen's church. That's the church where I think a plumber found like $350,000 in the wall. I think he was working on something, and inside the wall, it was money stuffed in the wall. That's the Lakewood Church, Joel Osteen's church.
And we will be allowed to have services here in the month of August every Sunday night at 7 p.m. and services will conclude at 9 p.m. But we're not just coming to have church. No, we're coming to have a revival. Each week, I want you to come with the glory of God. I want you to.
Let me skip it up.
Our world changed July 8th.
Let me get it to
Roderick. I want to thank Denise. I want to thank Luis. I want to thank Jeremy.
No, he's thanking people.
And resources to call me your online pastor. Some of you I've never met, but I feel like I know you in my heart. And because you've helped us to get here, I'm going to call on you to help us to get there. I need you to help us in rebuilding. You know, we were getting ready to do this in October anyway, and those of you all who've watched me, you've heard me say that it was time for us to expand our sanctuary. We were turning 600 to 700 people away every week. The parking was abysmal, but we made it. I told our church that we were going to start over. And yet again, I believe God said, Keon, your faith was too small. So let me blow the building down so you can build what I put in your heart.
He said God destroyed the building so that he could put something else in his heart. So their church was destroyed by God. This is his message to the people that follow him.
I want to increase the size of our sanctuary by 2. I want to double the size of it so that no one who has an opportunity to get in is turned away because we don't have a seat. We can't wait on the insurance company to do that. I need you from around the world. If I've ever preached a message that has touched your spirit.
Okay, now we getting close to it, y'all. I want you to listen to this.
If I've ever spoken into your life and you started the company that you were not going to start had I not pushed you in faith. If you were thinking about ending your own life, but somehow God gave me a word that made you fight to live another day, I need you. I won't pretend like I can do this by myself. If I could do this alone, trust me, it would be done already. But I am a feeble man who puts himself at the mercy of the court and asks you to join me in a journey because we do not have time to waste. We cannot build and we cannot raise money for 3 years and then build another 2 years and have all of these people displaced.
All of these people, they got to turn away. They can't have all of these people displaced, 600 to 700 people that they got to turn away in the parking lot because the building wasn't big enough. Now, it's going to get to what he's going to say. And I'm going to tell you right now, you have heard this before, but it gets a little more wilder.
God gave me a vision, and he said we can do it in 21 days. I'm asking 2,100 people to give $2,100 in the next 21 days. And what we're calling it is out of the harbor. You see, a ship is safe in the harbor.
He's asking 2,100 people to give $2,100 in 21 days. I thought I heard it all. Now, I've heard stories of people having to give $500, $1,000, and being happy to go walk up in front of the congregation and give it. But $2,100? $2,100 is rent money for a 1-bedroom in California. $2,100. Who you think got this type of money? That's a lot of money. Who got $2,100 to give? And he said, I'm a feeble man, and I put myself at the mercy of the court. Don't sound feeble to me. That sounds prideful and bold to ask poor people to pledge $2,100. Like, these Black Christian pastors are insane. They're insane. I'm gonna play some more.
But that's not what it was designed for. And right now, our ship is in the harbor. But you're going to help me through focus and resources.
This nigga said, but you're gonna help me. He said, but you heard how he said that? But you're gonna help me through focus and resources.
To come sailing out of the harbor, not next month, not next year, but now. It would be easy to retreat and recreate the same space that we had. But we are far too bold for that, far too fearless to accept yesterday. We will enter into uncharted waters, searching for God's glory, and we can achieve greatness together, but we can do nothing apart. I've seen the lightning flashing. I've heard the thunder roaring. I've even felt sin breakers dashing, trying to conquer my soul.
This is
But
crazy.
I hear the small, still voice of God saying, fight on. And he promised to never leave us alone. God is not shifting us to the exact same spot. He wants us to move forward. And you know, I'm not at.
He said God wants us to move forward. Nigga, you're gonna be moving out of your house if you give him that $2,100. If you give him that $2,100, you're gonna be moving. You're gonna be moving all right. You're gonna be moving up under a bridge, making you a tent and making you walls out of cardboard. Don't nobody got that much money to just give away. That's crazy, y'all. This is crazy. Like, bro. And that's why, and that's it. Now you talking to people who are trying to get to your church. You talking to people that gotta, you give him that money, you are going to be on public transportation trying to get to the church. Meanwhile, the church is doing just fine. And there's so many times where Black people that went to these churches their whole life, 50 and 40 years, and when they pass away, in the family thinks that this church that their grandmother done paid tithes to her whole life is going to take over the services of the burial, they find out they're not going to do it. Black people get played all the time when it comes to the Black Christian church. $2,100. Like, I'm speechless, y'all, because it's just crazy. It's crazy to even fix your mouth to ask people who are the poorer people on this planet, in this in the West, in America, but $2,100. He said, and you're going to do it. And he's sitting up there acting like he's so humble. He's so, meager. And he's so, I'm a feeble man. Then he switches the lingo up and says, and you're going to do it with resources and focus. That's crafty, y'all. That's crafty. And the crazy part is, that there are people that believe in these pastors so much, they're going to do it. When I was looking at this video, there was a lot of women in the live feed of this video that was agreeing with him. There's a lot of people that are going to pledge that money. $2,100 can get me out of a lot of problems right now. I ain't got $2,100 to give to no one. You know what I'm saying? It's just crazy, man. It's crazy.
Asking for passengers in this new move of God. I need crew members to join us. I need workers to come alongside and chart the course of our new legacy together. It's only to be secured and sacred if we do it together. If we do it alone.
Let me tell you something. The God that he talking about is the God that sent that storm and knocked that damn church down. He telling people, God is saying, no, build it bigger. No, God knocked it down. He's giving you a message. He knocked your church down. You're in Joe Osteen's church right now, asking people for $2,100. How does that work? You give that money. Let me just see what you say. Is it? Renee said, isn't that Shanae O'Neill's husband? That's Shaq's ex-wife's husband now? I didn't know that. Tyrell V. Majority of these churches preach false doctrines. Only a small few, though, and they are usually poorly funded. Black Dazzle. He's doing what the typical Shem Sham pastor does. This is, yeah. He said, the sheep is always majority of the world and true humble ones. Only a few enlightened ones are humble, and the rest of us are gifts for the wrong reasons to take advantage of people. Right. Pastors make my skin crawl and their fault. Yes. That's the phrase, false humility. He got this false humility. Love for your fellow human is becoming scarce at the time as time elapses. Let me see. Right, Renee. You should have been a pastor. He's a pimp. You damn right. Creflo Dollar asking for a plane and he's rich. That's right. Like you know, like Creflo Dollar. He got two churches. One in Atlanta, Georgia, and then one in New York. And he's flying, doing a sermon in each one each week, or in the same day, I think, because he has a private jet. But just the idea of people that are struggling and pinching pennies, to ask them to and give you $2,100 or give you $4 million in order to get a plane, in order to preach the gospel. Let me tell you something, man. And I'm not going to go deep into it, but I'll just say that Christ didn't even have a place to stay. That's what I'll just say. They basing this on Christ. Christ didn't even have a place to lay his head, man. What is these people talking about? What are these people talking about? Now you sitting up at the down bus stop, Creflo Dollar fly across your head in the airplane. You know what I'm saying? He drive past you in a Rolls Royce. Like that one pastor that just got 9 years, the bling pastor. He having Bentley trucks and Rolls Royce cars and all of that, Gucci clothes, wearing all the finest stuff. And the people in his church is trying to pay their rent. How many black people do you think they could actually get this $2,100 without struggling, without putting themselves in debt, without taking a loan? Crazy. Let me just, because there's another part I think I skipped.
So you can build what I put in your heart. I want to increase the size of our sanctuary by 2.
He wants to
double the size of it so that no one who has an opportunity to get in is. I've ever preached a message that has touched your spirit. If I've ever spoken into your life
and then that's how you get them. That's how you get them. He said, if I ever preached a message that has touched your spirit, there are a lot of great speakers, well-rehearsed speakers in the world. Very good at stirring up a crowd and captivating a crowd of people standing in front of them. That's what pastors are. That's what black leaders are. They're great orators. They're people that are well rehearsed. They're people that have charisma. And that, for some reason, captivates black people, especially in the Christian church. It captivates the mind and it captivates the imagination, especially that prosperity gospel crap about sowing the seed and sowing and having a return That captivates black people. Why? Because black people usually are poor. I know we like to front and act like we just got it like that and we're doing so good and we're doing better. We like to front with each other and act like we're doing better than one another. But the whole reason why that Black Christian church, that prosperity gospel captivates us, because it's always talking about prosperity. And we don't come from prosperity. We don't come from that. So let me see what to say. It touches your spirit, you know. We don't come from that, so it touches your spirit. Only a few use their gift for the right reasons because they know majority of people will not do their own due diligence to research. Oh yeah, they definitely know that. They definitely know that people are not doing the research. I mean, Renee said I can be a pastor. I could be a pastor too. I can shout and I can look into the camera. I can look into the camera. You know, God has given me a message to instill in you. Many of you I have touched with my words. And I'm asking you this evening on a Sunday, the date 8/11/2024, to sow a seed, not for increase, but for the blessing that will be laid upon your family in the future. It's easy. It's easy. Like I can do that if I wanted to. I could be a shucking, jiving pastor. I can. You've seen people set up churches where people follow them and they don't even follow the Bible. They'll make up a church, the church of single black men. They'll make up the church of alternative lifestyle. They'll make up a church about anything and people will follow. They make up the church of worshiping snakes, the church of Yeezus, of Kanye West had a church. Like anybody can make a church and just be a speaker and just be somebody that says captivating things to grab the attention and the spirit of people, to touch their spirit. So the point is that this happens. Well, this has been going on since the time of slavery. This message of prosperity has been being preached. Now, he just put what happened to his church on the fact that God wants it to be bigger. What I say is it happened because God wanted that church to get knocked down. And I don't know if somebody answered me, but I didn't know that this was actually the husband of Shaquille's ex-wife. He said, oh, that's another thing. What you say? So when he gets the insurance money, what he going to do with it? The way that I feel people that think because I feel people like this think because most human beings are sinful and prone to error, like contradicting ourselves and being hypocrites makes it easier to justify their mindsets. I agree with that. He's intentionally trying to get over on people. Intentionally. He came with a smooth speech though. I give him that. But if you know the history of Christianity and you know the history of black people in the Christian church from the times of plantation, you know that it has always been a game, and you can put it off on having the spirit of God and doing this for the right reasons and having this false humility. But the fruits of the Black Christian church are all around us. All you got to do is go to the Black community where those Black Christian churches are, and you will see the fruits of what that church has produced. You will see the fruits of what the leadership has produced and taught the people, which is destruction, which is live your life how you want to do it. And when you get in trouble, then you call out on the name of sweet Lord Jesus. That's all that is. That's all that is. Right. Okay. So, oh, that is her husband. Damn. And he's trying to raise almost $4 million. So that $2,100, it's around $4 million. So dang, they ain't got no bread like that. They ain't got no money to invest in, and the money all dried up. That's crazy. That's crazy. Yeah, this one right here really got my attention. And listen, man, everybody out here hustling. Some people just hustling with their words. Everybody out here got to hustle. Everybody out here is working and trying to, make it. But some people are just trying to make it and trying to hustle, got that hustle game off of God. Hustling God, basically. Hustling people that have a hope in God, but are not wise enough or articulate enough or inquiring enough to know that they're being hustled in the name of God. So I'm gonna move on. That's crazy. That was funny though. That was funny. So yeah, I want to talk a little bit about that. Every time when voting comes up, every time when voting, the time comes around to vote, you have certain things that pop up on the radar as far as media, certain conversations and discussions. A lot of times it's what you're going to do for Black people, police brutality, and then reparations. Reparations is another one. And I've seen a video about Black people talking about or asking or demanding a check from the US government for reparations when it comes to what happened to our ancestors and the fact that we are our ancestors. And I just want to speak a little bit about this and just some topics that are connected to it. So voting is definitely one. And we've been voting for a long time. And voting, I said earlier, we don't get anything out of it as far as tangible things done specifically for the Black community. Now we're pushed, or they make us think that we're doing ourselves a disservice by not voting. They make us feel like we're doing ourselves a disservice, and we will even look at one another. I think I said it before on a recent video where you have Black people that say that your ancestors fought and died so you to have that opportunity so that you could vote. So why would you not take the advantage of voting? And I said that it's okay to come to the understanding that maybe your ancestors did the wrong thing. Like, just because they were before you and they are no longer here, or they even their lives were taken because of what they were doing, doesn't mean that it was right. And I think that we give too much credit to our ancestors in that way. So we'll give all this credit to our ancestors without realizing one day we're going to be ancestors. So we'll give all this credit and won't look at the wrong decisions and acknowledge them. And that doesn't mean you don't love your ancestors, you don't respect your ancestors. That don't mean that. That don't mean that you don't respect the things that they did and what they stood for. That don't mean that. It just means that you can be real with yourself. The same way that a lot of y'all be angry with your parents for the way you was raised and the mistakes that your parents made. You're quick to do that. You're quick to look at your parents and say, well, you did this, you wasn't there, you didn't do that. And you'll hold a grudge and you'll tell your parents to their face they was wrong in how they raised you. And you'll acknowledge that, but we don't want to acknowledge, just like we live in a dream world when it comes to our ancestors. We don't want to acknowledge that maybe possibly they made a wrong decision down the line. We don't want to do that. It's something wrong with that. So when it comes to our ancestors, I feel like voting was not the right thing. Also, when it comes to the ancestors, I feel like, and I'm just don't get caught up in that ancestor, that blackity black stuff, because that's not how I'm saying it is straightforward. Like the people, the pioneers, the brothers and sisters that came before me, when I look at them, when I look at what happened with integration, I feel like integration wasn't the best idea. And so I have different perspective from a lot of Black people on what got us to the point where you see how we look today, how our community looks today, how the youth look today, how the Black family is destroyed today. I have a different perspective when I look back and seeing the decisions that Black leaders made, and Black people wholesale followed those decisions without fighting back and saying, no, maybe we should try something different. Okay, so the voting thing, okay? We don't get nothing out of it. And so these discussions come around and they talk about the same things that get us riled up. And we're riled up off of reparations. I believe reparations can be given. The problem is you have to just step out the box and look at this is a nation that was built on free slave labor. Free slave labor. Let me say it again. Free slave labor. They got it for free. The land grab, they went and took land, Native American land. They got it for free. You get something for free, and then somebody's asking you to pay out something. You're not going to pay out nothing when you done got everything for free. So that's why it's such of a hard issue, and it's an issue that keeps Black people hoping. But I truly don't believe that they're ever going to give us reparations. I believe it was like 2013. There was a man, he was a white man that did the research on the amount of hours and the time that slaves worked in the field, and he calculated to about $13 trillion that reparations would amount to. $13 trillion. Okay. And so if we were to get the money, you have to think about the condition of Black people. You have to think about the mindset and how we live today and how we're materialized and how we think, how we have a lot of trauma that people basically look at it as like criminal behavior, or they look at it in a way to explain it away to what really is the issue. The real issue is that trauma is passed down throughout centuries, through not only DNA, but through the way families bond. The trauma that we got on the plantation has been passed down. It's easily proven. A traumatic episode could reach generations down just one day, like 9/11. So you think about 400 years of the same terrorism and worry and going through those things. Do you don't think that could be passed down? So these things have affected us to the point where we live a certain type of way. Money would not fix it. Them cutting a $250,000 check per person would not fix the issues that Black people have. Now, okay, you'll be able to buy a house or buy whatever you want. But those issues that we have gotten over these decades, they will still be there. They will still be there. Case in point, look at all these people that's rich celebrities that come from, bad upbringings, and they have horrible relationships with their parents, horrible relationships with their family members. But they have what people think would make life great, money. And they on television acting a fool. They are broken people with money. So money will not even fix us. Now, is it deserved? Of course it's deserved. Of course we deserve to get whatever we're going to get. Well, of course we deserve that. But I'm just saying that reparation talk, we have to seriously talk about how messed up our community is, the family structure is, and our people in general. Okay. So that whole thing about voting, if voting could get you reparations, okay, I'll look at it and be like, okay, you did that. Even though I'm not going to vote, but if it could get you reparations, something tangible, if it could get you a stop Black hate bill, like the stop Asian hate bill, if it could get you some tangible things that are specific to your community, you would probably have a point. But after 150 years of voting, come on, man, we have to try something different. There's nothing wrong with trying something different. And as far as that, you look at I just was talking about reparations, and people say, well, you guys just want money. Well, think about it this way. Nobody ever talks about how we got to this point. Nobody talks about the 500-year head start that Europeans had. when it comes to just wealth. There was a study that came out that said it would take 228 years for a black family the average black family to reach the net worth of the average white family. That's a real study they did. It would take 200 so we're playing catch up, but people look at us like the problem is right now, what we're doing right now, when the problem goes back for 500 years. It's a 500-year head start. So I said this before, and I'm taking a long time on this topic, but I said this before. What I say? I said, when you look at black people, and you may look at us and say, what is wrong with black people? Why they have these issues? Why they have these problems? Well, black people, the way we are, the way we live, the way we think, the way we move, the way we interact, all of that has to do with the past. You can't talk about something in the present and not talk about the past, what made it. That's the same as the white community. You can't talk about the white community and how they are today without realizing what they were in the past. It's what made them. The same economic status that black people are on is because this economic status that they were on during slavery. Same as Europeans. Let's be real, y'all. Let's keep this a buck. Keep it 100. Keep it 100. Let's keep it a buck. Black people, right? We want the same things that everybody else wants. We can't help that we're in a system that doesn't necessarily put us on an equilibrium. Many of us believe that we integrated. I say we did not integrate. We assimilated, and we're still trying to assimilate into the dominant culture. Because integration would mean that two things just come together and they're integrated. That would mean equal. And we know by that's not true. We know that there's so many things that's still going on today where it's not equal, but we are assimilated, and we do put our best foot forward. Now our ancestors done fought in every war. They done did everything they can to be looked at as a decent human being, but that still hasn't got us the things that we desire as far as black people, right? I don't want to go too much into it. I'm gonna leave it at that. Let me look real quick. Sister said, let me see. I'm gonna put some of y'all comments up. Oh yeah, I agree. I agree with that too. But I also feel that because it was just it's the anniversary of the Michael Brown thing, right? And it's since Ferguson, what they did was when Michael Brown was killed, the police force was basically all white. There was no black people on the force. Now it's like 50% black people. The chief is a black man. They changed the uniform, so like people, because the city is also 70% black, so they tried to mirror the city as far as the police force and get people on the grassroots level that can actually understand the people. And so recently, I think it was a few nights ago, people were protesting on the anniversary of the Mike Brown shooting and the Michael Brown shooting, and they allowed them to protest, and then they sent out some officers, and one of the officers, somebody charged the officer, and he hit his head, and I believe he was in critical condition. At the press conference, the black chief, he was choked up talking about it when he was talking about this officer. He started to get choked up, and he said he tired of it, of them looking like the bad guys when they done change, and none of the people that was on that force when 10 years ago when Michael Brown got killed is on that police force anymore. And you could tell in the back, it's a lot of black people on the force. And I was thinking to myself, like, we can try to do that, mimic what the community looks like. But once again, we're doing it on the platform of another people. You know what I'm saying? So we can try that. And that's the mindset that we have always had. We say, well, I don't like the way it was crime in my community when I was growing up. So I'm going to join the police department and I'm going to fight crime and help fix my community. Or I'm going to be a judge, or I'm going to be this. And as far as law enforcement in politics, local politics and stuff like that. But it's just never pans out like that. Like, our people get put in those positions and they just don't have the strength to really attack the issues of black people, because they're doing it on the platform, America's platform, instead of, when you look at it from, if we were a separate people with a separate government within America, which would never happen, by the way, that specifically, like how, what is it, like, the people from China, don't they have like representatives here in America? Different communities have representatives in here in America. So when something happens, they're at the forefront of the issues when anything happens with law enforcement. But my point is that we can come together. If we could come together like that, that would be beautiful, but it would still be under the guise. And I don't think you was in here. What's your name? Georgia Sweet. He wasn't in here earlier when I was talking about I was showing the ex-Chicago cop, Ronald Watts, where the culture of law enforcement corrupts some of our people. Now, a lot of our people are in there with good intentions, but it corrupts everyone. It corrupts it doesn't matter what race you are, because the culture of law enforcement is a culture of oppressive culture towards black and brown people, and it originated from slavery times and protecting rich people's property from poorer people, and but that negative culture that everybody is upset at, or they say it's good cops. I agree that there is good cops. I believe there are good cops, but the culture is what keeps the good cops from pointing out the bad cops, and if they do, then they're attacked. But the culture, to me, is the problem in all of these processes, all of these institutions, where we could try to put our people in there, but it's always going to be either infiltrated or it's not going to work in the best interest of the people in the community. The last time you seen something like that was Black Panthers. The Black Panthers, excuse me. Losing my voice. So yeah, I'm gonna move on though. I'm sorry that I didn't get to all y'all comments. All right. I'm going to now this is my Black Authentic Truth story. Okay. We'll wrap it up with this. Just give me a second. Get this sister. Now, this is Diana Fletcher. She was a Kiowa Indian, Seminole. Okay. Diana Fletcher was born in Oklahoma, Indian Territory, and her father was born in Virginia as a slave. While still a young child, he was sold to a man who lived in Florida. He ran away and lived with the Seminole community. Though still a slave, they treated him better than his former master. He married a Seminole woman who died during the Indian Removal Act of 1830, the forced relocation of Indians to Oklahoma. Young Fletcher learned A young Fletcher learned traditional Kiowa crafts from her stepmother, sewing, cooking, tanning buffalo hides, making teepees, and basket weaving. When the members of the tribe raised enough money, they built a small school and hired her as the teacher. The African American Native the African Native American schools were operated by the 5 civilized tribes: the Creek, the Chickasaw, Cherokee, Choctaw, and the Seminole. Fletcher's main success was valuing and preserving her family's history, culture, and values while learning to adjust and adapt to white American society. Because of ignorance, prejudice, and racial hostility, there was an attempt to force Black Indians to reject their heritage. Fletcher's main accomplishment was valuing and preserving her family's history, culture, and values while at the same time learning to adjust and adapt to white American society. Because of ignorance and prejudice and racial hostility, the U.S. government attempted to force Black Indians and all Native Americans to reject their history. This is the story of Diana Fletcher. Now, let me pull it back. Let's see. Yes, that is the story of Diana Fletcher, which is not a lot of information on this sister, but her picture floats around a lot on the internet, and there's all kind of different stories. There's a lot of people like that where you see pictures and it's not the actual right story until you actually start doing research and find out that this is totally another person. But people being in such a rush, and I guess a lot of times we all look the same to those people. They be in such a rush to put out stuff, and it just sticks. It just sticks. The story just sticks. Let me see. Pull up some of your comments. You said Oklahoma has the most adopted Indians that I know. Most of them look white over there. Oh yes, we know about the Dawes Rolls and the $5 Indians. Definitely a beautiful woman. Absolutely gorgeous. Navajo is one of the few pure-blooded tribes. I agree with that. Well, we all brainwashed. I agree with that. Yeah, man. Yeah. So even to this day, you have a lot of people that look straight European. They be like they Cherokee, and I be looking at them like, bruh, come on, man. You are a Viking from the Caucasus Mountains of Russia, Georgia. Come on, how are you Cherokee? And it's a clear distinction. You can tell right away that yeah, you're not you're not one of them. You're not like us. You're not one of those. But I understand. I understand. I get it. You know what I mean? But yeah, y'all, I'm about to get up out of here. Thank you for rocking with me. Thank y'all, for sliding with your brother. Try to, stay on it, be consistent. I know I got people that rock with me. I know a lot of y'all, this is Sunday. This is a day when people is chilling. People want to get some things done. People got to go to work tomorrow. I got to go to work tomorrow. So I figure like Sunday is a day where it's a good day for people to catch me and I could go live. Wednesday is also a day I could go live. I don't know. I was thinking about doing that. At one point in time, I was trying to go live on a Wednesday also around the same time, but that requires a lot because I have to do preparation for whatever I want to speak about at class also that same night. So, it's possible. It's possible. But we'll see. We'll see how it all pans out. But yeah, thank y'all for rocking with me. Make sure y'all just hit this live, hit a like, even if it's after you see this after the live is over with. Hit the like button, show your brother some love. Make sure at all times you keep it black and authentic. And we're about to be up out of here. All right. So let me see. All right, y'all. With that, this is Black Authentic Truth.